Brian Kozlowski had 19 years of leverage. It took 12 minutes to lose it all. Not 12 minutes of him being late. 12 minutes of someone else being late. Someone he didn't know was married to the man who owned everything, including Brian's career. This is what happened in the 24 hours that followed. Brian Kozlowski's alarm went off at 5:15 a.m. Same time it had gone off for 19 years. He was at the gym by 5:30, treadmill 6 miles, 52 minutes, protein shake in the locker room, home by 6:45, shower, dressed, out the door by 7. His wife Cheryl was still asleep. His son Dylan was asleep. The house was quiet. Brian liked quiet. He arrived at the Crestfield Logistics Distribution Center at 7:14 a.m., parked in his assigned spot, third row near the entrance. His nameplate was still on the space. Regional Operations Manager, 4 distribution centers, 180 employees. He'd earned that title. Nobody handed him anything. Inside, Brian made his first coffee of the day, checked his email. 47 messages since he left yesterday. He sorted through them with the efficiency of someone who doesn't let things pile up. At 7:52, he opened the attendance dashboard. Late arrivals from the previous week, 14. He scanned the names. Some were habitual, some were first-timers. He flagged 3 for follow-up. Then he saw it. Jennifer Morrison, late Tuesday, late the previous Friday. 2 in 1 week. Brian pulled her file. 3 months at the company. Warehouse logistics coordinator. Decent performance reviews. No disciplinary notes. Until now. He made a note in his planner. Morrison, attendance conversation. He'd deal with it when she arrived. If she arrived on time. Jennifer Hayes woke up at 6:18 a.m. Not to her alarm, to her phone. The school's number. She answered before she was fully conscious. Ms. Morrison, this is Ridgeview Elementary. Your daughter Emma has a fever. 101.2, we need you to pick her up. Jennifer sat up, looked at the clock. I'll be there as soon as I can. She hung up, stood, walked to Emma's room. Her daughter had stayed with her sister last night while Jennifer worked late. No, wait, Emma was at school. The school just called. Jennifer's brain was moving too slowly. She called her sister Rebecca. I need you to get Emma from school. She's sick. I'm in Canton until 10. Dentist appointment for Lucas. Can you get her? Jennifer closed her eyes. Yeah, I'll get her. She called her supervisor at Crestfield, left a voicemail. Hey, it's Jennifer. Emma's school just called. She has a fever. I need to pick her up and arrange care. I'll be late this morning, probably there by 9:30. Sorry. She got dressed, grabbed her keys, drove to Ridgeview Elementary. Emma was in the nurse's office, small, pale, 7 years old. Mommy, I don't feel good. I know, baby, we're going home. Jennifer signed her out, drove to her apartment, got Emma settled on the couch with juice and cartoons. Then she called the only other person who could help. Her almost ex-husband. David. Jen. Emma's sick. I need to get to work, can you? I'm in Cleveland, meeting until noon. Right, okay. Can Rebecca? She's in Canton. Silence. I'm sorry, David said. It's fine, I'll figure it out. She hung up. Jennifer sat on the floor of her kitchen and calculated. Rebecca could be there by 10:15 if she left the dentist early. Jennifer could leave by 10:30, 20-minute drive, arrive at 10:50. She'd be late. Again. She texted her supervisor, Emma needs care until 10. I'll be there by 11. I'm so sorry. No response. Jennifer waited until Rebecca arrived, kissed Emma, got in her car. She pulled into Crestfield Logistics at 11:12 a.m. 12 minutes late. Jennifer and David separated 8 months ago. Not because of infidelity, not because of some dramatic betrayal. Because Jennifer was tired of being invisible. David founded Crestfield Logistics 18 years ago. Started with 2 trucks and a warehouse lease he could barely afford. Built it into a regional operation with contracts across 3 states. Jennifer had been there for all of it. The late nights, the missed dinners, the vacations that got canceled, the conversations that stopped happening because David was always calculating routes or negotiating rates. She didn't resent the company. She resented disappearing while he built it. By the time their daughter Emma was in 1st grade, Jennifer realized she was functionally a single parent. David was home, technically, but he wasn't present. She told him this one night after Emma went to bed. "I feel like I'm married to someone who doesn't see me anymore." David looked up from his laptop. "I'm right here." "No, you're not." He closed the laptop. "What do you want me to do, Jen? This company is more important than us, I know." "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" They agreed to separate in January. David moved into a condo near the office. Jennifer kept the house. Emma spent weekdays with Jennifer, weekends with David. It was supposed to be temporary. A wake-up call for David, a chance to prove he could let go. But months passed, and they were still separate, still going through motions, still not quite divorced but not quite together. Jennifer didn't know which hurt more, the separation or how easy it was. In March, 3 months after the separation, Jennifer started looking for work. Not because she needed the money. David was generous with support, too generous. It made her feel like a dependent. She wanted to work because she needed to remember who she was before David, before Emma, before 18 years of building someone else's dream. She applied to 7 companies. Crestfield Logistics was one of them. She used her maiden name Morrison, technically Hayes Morrison, but when HR processed her application, they assumed the hyphen was a typo and just put Morrison. Jennifer didn't correct them. She interviewed with a logistics supervisor named Carla, never met the regional manager, never came close to anyone who would recognize the owner's wife. She got hired. Warehouse logistics coordinator, entry-level, $47,000 a year. David didn't know she applied until after she got the job. "You're working at Crestfield," he said. "I needed something under a different name." "I didn't lie. Morrison is my name." "Jen, I don't want special treatment. I don't want people looking at me differently. I just want to work." David was quiet for a long time. Okay. If that's what you need." Jennifer started 2 weeks later. She was good at the job, organized, efficient. People liked her. For 3 months, nobody knew. She was just Jennifer Morrison, the woman who occasionally arrived late because childcare was impossible. Jennifer walked into the building at 11:12 a.m. She could feel the lateness like a weight. Her supervisor Carla was at her desk. "Emma okay?" Carla asked. "Fever, my sister's with her now. Kids get sick, it happens." "I know, I'm sorry I'm late again." "It's fine. Just maybe shoot me a text earlier next time so I can cover the morning check-in." Jennifer nodded, headed to her desk. She made it 30 minutes before the call came. "Jennifer, Brian needs to see you in his office." Brian Kozlowski, Regional Operations Manager. Jennifer had met him exactly 3 times, twice in passing. Once during her onboarding when he welcomed the new hires with a 5-minute speech about accountability. She walked to his office, knocked. "Come in." Brian was behind his desk, didn't stand, didn't smile. "Close the door." Jennifer did. "Sit." She sat. Brian opened a folder, Jennifer's personnel file. "You were late this morning," Brian said. "Yes, my daughter. You were late last Tuesday, and the Friday before that. I know, I've been dealing with. I don't need the explanation. I need you to understand that this is a business. We have standards." Jennifer's hands were in her lap. She could feel her pulse in her throat. "I understand. It won't happen again." "You're right, it won't." Brian closed the folder. "Your employment is terminated effective immediately. You can collect your things. HR will process your final check." Jennifer stared at him. "You're firing me." "Yes." "For being late 3 times in 3 months. For failing to meet attendance expectations. This isn't a daycare, Ms. Morrison. If you can't manage your personal life, you don't belong here." Jennifer felt something cold settle in her chest. "Can I speak to HR?" HR approved this decision. He was lying. He'd tell HR after, but Jennifer didn't know that. She stood. "Is there anything else?" Brian asked. Jennifer looked at him for a long moment. Then she turned and walked out. She collected her things from her desk, a framed photo of Emma, her coffee mug, a sweater from the back of her chair. Carla watched her, said nothing. Jennifer walked to her car, sat in the driver's seat, and called David. David was in a board meeting when his phone buzzed. Jennifer's name on the screen. She never called during work hours unless it was about Emma. He stepped out of the conference room. "Jen, is Emma okay?" "Emma's fine." Her voice was flat, wrong. "What's wrong?" "I got fired." David stopped walking. "What?" "I got fired, 12 minutes late. 3 times in 3 months. He didn't care about Emma, didn't care about anything, just fired me." "Who fired you?" "Brian Kozlowski." David knew the name. Regional Operations Manager, strong performance metrics, recommended for VP track last quarter. "Stay where you are," David said. "I'll call you back." He hung up, walked back into the conference room. "I need to leave. Family emergency." He was in his car 4 minutes later. Called his VP of Operations. Pulled Jennifer Morrison's personnel file, every attendance record, every review, and pulled Brian Kozlowski's termination history for the last 2 years. "David, what's?" "Just do it. I'll be there in 40 minutes." He drove in silence. Tried to process what Jennifer said. Fired for being late. Because their daughter was sick. By a manager who didn't know who she was. David wasn't angry yet. Anger required heat. What he felt was cold. David arrived at corporate headquarters at 1:30 p.m. His VP of Operations, Karen Welch, was waiting in his office. "I pulled everything," she said. David sat, read. Jennifer's file, hired March 4, 3 months, performance reviews excellent. Attendance 2 late arrivals in May, 1 in June. 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 15 minutes, all documented, all explained. Then Brian's termination history. 18 months, 7 terminations for attendance issues. All women. 5 of them mothers. David looked up at Karen. "Did HR approve Jennifer Morrison's termination?" "No, Brian submitted the paperwork after the fact. He does that sometimes, terminates first, notifies us later." And nobody stopped him. Karen shifted. "He's within policy. 3 attendance infractions within 90 days is grounds for termination. He documents everything." "Who else has he terminated?" Karen slid another sheet across the desk. 7 names, 7 files. David read them. Similar patterns, attendance issues, single mother, childcare problems. "How did this not trigger a review?" David asked. "Brian's performance metrics are strong. Productivity is up in his region. Turnover is slightly higher than average, but nothing that flagged HR. David set the files down. I want him gone. Karen didn't move. David, I want him terminated today. If we do this, it's going to raise questions. People will know Jennifer is your. I don't care. Karen nodded slowly. I'll draft the termination notice. We should have a meeting. You, me, HR, Brian, make it formal. Fine, schedule it for tomorrow morning, but I'm going to the distribution center now. Why? Because I want him to see me first. David stood, grabbed his keys. Karen watched him leave. David pulled into the Crestfield Distribution Center at 2:07 p.m. He parked near the entrance, got out, walked through the main doors. Employees looked up, recognized him. Whispers started. David didn't acknowledge them, walked straight through the warehouse floor toward the administrative offices. Brian Kozlowski was in his office, on a call. He glanced up, saw someone walking past, looked back down. Then looked up again. David Hayes. Owner. Founder. The man Brian had met twice. Brian ended his call mid-sentence. Stood. David didn't knock, opened the door, stepped inside. Mr. Hayes, I wasn't expecting. Close the door, David said. Brian did. Is everything? You fired Jennifer Morrison this morning. Brian's face shifted, confusion, then calculation. Yes, attendance issues, 3 infractions within. She's my wife. The office went silent. Brian's mouth opened, closed. I didn't know. I know you didn't know, that's not the point. Brian sat down slowly, trying to process, trying to find footing. Mr. Hayes, I was following company policy. 3 attendance infractions within 90 days is. She was 12 minutes late. Her daughter had a fever. Policy doesn't make exceptions for. Stop talking. Brian stopped. David leaned against the desk. I pulled your termination history. 7 firings in 18 months. All women, 5 of them mothers. Want to explain that? That's not. Those were all legitimate performance issues. They were all attendance issues, all childcare related. I apply policy consistently. No, you apply it selectively. You target people who are struggling, and you call it accountability. Brian's hands were on his desk. He was gripping the edge. I've been here 19 years. My performance metrics don't matter. Mr. Hayes, with all due respect. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., conference room, you, me, Karen, and HR will make this formal. David turned toward the door. But you should know right now, you're done. He walked out. Left Brian sitting alone in his office. Brian didn't sleep that night. He sat in his home office, pulled up every termination file, every attendance record, every policy citation. He'd followed the rules. Every single time. Jennifer Morrison, 3 late arrivals. Policy allows termination. Sarah Chen, 4 late arrivals. Policy allows termination. Monica Reeves, 6 late arrivals. Policy allows termination. He documented everything, followed procedure. He wasn't a monster. He was a manager maintaining standards. But Jennifer Morrison was David Hayes' wife. And Brian didn't know. At 3:00 a.m., Cheryl found him at his desk. Come to bed. I can't. Brian. I fired the owner's wife. Cheryl stared at him. You what? I didn't know. She was using her maiden name. She never said anything. How bad is this? Brian looked at her. I think I just lost everything. The meeting started at 8:03 a.m. Conference room, 4 people. David Hayes, Karen Welch, HR Director Linda Moss, Brian Kozlowski. Brian arrived 7 minutes early, sat, waited. The others arrived together. Nobody shook hands. Linda opened a folder. Brian, we're here to discuss your termination of Jennifer Morrison and review your overall personnel management. Brian nodded. His hands were folded on the table. Linda continued. Jennifer Morrison was terminated yesterday for attendance infractions. Can you walk us through your decision? Brian cleared his throat. She was late 3 times within 90 days. Company policy states that 3 infractions within that time frame can result in termination. I documented each instance. Her explanations were noted but don't override policy. Did you consult HR before terminating her? Policy allows regional managers to make termination decisions within documented guidelines. I submitted paperwork after. That's not what I asked. Brian shifted. No, I didn't consult HR first. Linda slid a document across the table. This is your termination history for the last 18 months. 7 employees, all women, 5 mothers, all terminated for attendance issues. Can you explain this pattern? There's no pattern. These were all legitimate. Were any men terminated for attendance in the same period? Brian hesitated. Attendance issues were more prevalent among. Yes or no? No. Linda looked at David, then back at Brian. Brian, did you know Jennifer Morrison was married to David Hayes? No. Would it have changed your decision? Brian looked at David, then back at Linda. No, policy is policy. David spoke for the first time. You're lying. Brian's face flushed. I'm not. If you'd known who she was, you wouldn't have touched her. You would have found a reason to look the other way. Because you're not principled. You're just careless about who you target. Brian's jaw tightened. I've been with this company for 19 years. I've delivered results. I've managed 4 distribution centers. My productivity numbers are irrelevant, Corinne said quietly. This isn't about performance. It's about pattern and judgment. Linda closed the folder. Brian Kozlowski, your employment with Crestfield Logistics is terminated effective immediately. You'll be escorted from the building within the hour. Your final paycheck will include accrued vacation time but no severance. All company property must be returned today. Brian stared at her. You can't, I have 19 years. This meeting is concluded, Linda said. David stood, walked out without looking back. Corinne followed. Linda remained, watched Brian. You can collect your belongings now. Security will meet you at your office. Brian didn't move. This is insane. Over 1 termination. Over 7 terminations. Over a pattern we should have caught sooner. Over judgment we can't defend. Linda stood. You have an hour, Brian. She left him sitting alone. At 8:47 a.m., an email went out to all Crestfield employees. Subject: leadership chain. Effective immediately. Brian Kozlowski is no longer with Crestfield Logistics. We thank him for his years of service and wish him well. Regional operations will report directly to VP Corinne Welch until a replacement is announced. That was it. No details, no explanation. But in a company of 180 employees, word traveled faster than email. By 9:00 a.m., everyone knew. Brian had fired someone. That someone was the owner's wife. Brian was escorted out at 9:34 a.m. Walked through the warehouse with a security guard carrying a box of his belongings. Employees watched. Nobody said anything. He got to his car, set the box in the back seat, sat behind the wheel, looked at the building for a long time, then drove away. By 10:00 a.m., Jennifer's real identity was common knowledge. Morrison Hayes. David Hayes's wife, the woman Brian fired for being 12 minutes late. Carla, Jennifer's direct supervisor, stood in the break room listening to the gossip. "Did you know?" someone asked her. "No." She never said anything. Never. Why would she work here if she's married to the owner? Carla shrugged. Maybe she wanted to prove something. The conversation shifted. "Brian's gone. Escorted out this morning." "Good, he was a nightmare." Someone else. "Remember Sarah Chen? He fired her last year. Same thing, sick kid, late arrivals." Another voice. "And Monica Reeves, single mom, he didn't care." The stories started emerging. 7 terminations in 18 months. All women, most of them mothers. People who'd been afraid to speak up before started talking. By noon, HR had 3 formal complaints on Linda Moss's desk. By 2:00 p.m., she'd opened investigations into all 7 terminations. The company's exposure was becoming clear. But so was something else. Jennifer Morrison, Jennifer Hayes, had been vindicated. She'd been fired unjustly. The bully had fallen. Justice in its corporate form had been served. Except Jennifer wasn't at her desk to see it. She hadn't come back. Pause here. Think about the last time you had power over someone's livelihood. Did you see them as a person or a problem? How would you know the difference? Leave a comment below. The story leaked to local media by Thursday. Logistics executive fired after terminating owner's wife. The headline appeared on Cleveland Business Journal's website at 11:00 a.m. By 1:00 p.m., it was picked up by regional news. By Friday morning, it had gone regional national. Blogs, LinkedIn think pieces, Reddit threads. The narrative was irresistible. Powerful manager, vulnerable single mother, secret identity, swift justice. Except Jennifer wasn't single. And she hated every second of it. Her phone rang constantly. Reporters, bloggers, people she hadn't spoken to in years suddenly interested in her story. She stopped answering. Emma's school called. Some parents are asking questions about the news coverage. Is everything okay? Everything's fine. But it wasn't. Jennifer's separation from David was now public knowledge. Her struggle with childcare, public. Her termination, public. The humiliation of being fired for being 12 minutes late, public. She'd wanted to prove she could make it on her own. Now everyone knew she couldn't. Or worse, everyone knew she didn't have to. She was the owner's wife. She could have just stayed home. The vindication felt like exposure. The justice felt like pity. Brian's son, Dylan, found the Reddit thread on Friday afternoon. Former Crestfield manager gets destroyed after firing owner's wife. 3,400 comments. Dylan read them. What a piece of shit. This guy destroyed women's careers for having kids. Hope he never works again. Corporate psychopath finally gets what he deserves. Dylan scrolled. Saw his father's name repeated hundreds of times. Saw people digging into Brian's LinkedIn, his college, his hometown. Someone had found his Facebook, posted screenshots of his family photos. Dylan closed his laptop. Went to his room. Didn't come out for dinner. Cheryl found Brian in the garage that night. Dylan won't talk to me, she said. He read the threads. What threads? Brian handed her his phone. Cheryl scrolled. Her face went pale. Brian. I know. This is, people are saying. I know what they're saying. Cheryl set the phone down. Did you target working mothers? I followed policy. That's not what I asked. Brian looked at her. I don't know anymore. Cheryl was quiet for a long time. I think you should stay somewhere else for a while. Cheryl. Dylan can't handle this. The attention, the neighbors, I can't handle it. This will blow over. Will it? Brian didn't answer. He packed a bag that night. Checked into a Comfort Inn off Route 8. Cheryl didn't ask when he'd be back. Brian applied to 6 logistics companies over the next 2 weeks. 3 didn't respond. 2 sent polite rejections. 1 scheduled a phone interview. The interviewer asked about his departure from Crestfield. Brian explained, "Management restructuring. My position was eliminated." "That's not what I heard." "What did you hear?" "That you fired the owner's wife and got terminated." Silence. It's more complicated than. I'm sure it is. Thanks for your time, Brian. The call ended. Brian sat in his hotel room. Checked his bank account. Severance, 0. Savings, enough for 4 months if he was careful. He opened LinkedIn. Updated his profile, seeking new opportunities in logistics management. No messages. No connection requests. Just silence. The industry wasn't big. Word traveled fast. David Hayes's name carried weight. Nobody wanted to touch Brian's resume. Jennifer tried to go back to work the following Monday. She arrived at 8:45 a.m., early. Walked to her desk. People looked at her differently. Overly careful, overly kind. "Hey Jennifer, good to see you back." "Thanks. If you need anything." "I'm fine." But she wasn't. Carla stopped by at 9:30. "Can we talk?" They went to the conference room. "How are you doing?" Carla asked. "I'm okay." "Listen, if you need time." "I don't need time, I need to work." Carla nodded. "Okay, just people are going to be weird for a while. They know now about you and David." "I know." "Is that going to be a problem?" "I don't know." It was. By 11:00 a.m., Jennifer realized she couldn't do this. People kept asking if she was okay. Kept treating her like she was fragile. Kept looking at her like she was someone's wife instead of just Jennifer. She couldn't be just Jennifer anymore. That person was gone. Jennifer and David met at a coffee shop in Akron 2 weeks later. Neutral territory, halfway between their separate lives. They sat across from each other, ordered coffee neither of them drank. "How's Emma?" David asked. "She's fine, asking when you're coming over." "I can come this weekend." "Okay." Silence. David spoke first. "I called HR. They can transfer you anywhere you want, different location, different role, promotion if you want it." "I don't want a promotion." "Then what do you want?" Jennifer looked at him. "I wanted to prove I could do this, that I didn't need you, that I was more than just your wife waiting at home." "You are more than that." "Not anymore. Everyone knows now. I'm not Jennifer Morrison, logistics coordinator. I'm Jennifer Hayes, the owner's wife who got fired." "That's not." "It is, David. I can't escape it, and I can't stay there and have people treat me like I'm made of glass." David leaned back. "So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to resign." "Jen." "I have to. It's the only way I can start over." "Start over where?" "I don't know yet." They sat in silence. David's coffee was cold. "What about us?" he asked. Jennifer met his eyes. "I don't know that either." Jennifer submitted her resignation letter 4 months after being reinstated. It was professional, polite, generic. "After careful consideration, I have decided to pursue other opportunities. I appreciate the experience and wish Crestfield continued success." No mention of Brian. No mention of the firing. No mention of David. HR accepted it immediately. No counteroffer. No exit interview. Just, we'll process your final paycheck. Please return all company property by Friday. Jennifer cleaned out her desk on a Tuesday. Nobody threw her a going-away party. Nobody asked where she was going. They were too uncomfortable. She carried her box to her car, drove home, set it on the kitchen counter, and cried for the first time since the firing. Not because she lost the job, because she lost the chance to prove she didn't need rescuing. Jennifer and David signed the divorce papers 8 months after the firing. They met at a lawyer's office in Cleveland. The terms were already agreed upon. Joint custody, fair division of assets, no alimony. Jennifer refused. The lawyer slid papers across the table. You're sure about this? They both nodded. Signed. It was over in 11 minutes. They walked out together. Stood in the parking lot. I'm sorry, David said. For what? For everything. For not being there for the company. It's not your fault. Isn't it? Jennifer shook her head. We both made choices. We both wanted different things. I wanted you. You wanted Crestfield more. David didn't argue. They stood in silence. Take care of yourself, Jen. You too. She got in her car. Drove away. Didn't look back. 2 years later, Brian Kozlowski sold insurance in Columbus. Auto, home, life. It wasn't logistics, but it was work. He lived in a 1-bedroom apartment near Polaris, ate frozen dinners, watched TV alone. Dylan visited once every few months, stayed for an hour, left. They didn't talk about Crestfield. They didn't talk about much. Cheryl remarried, a high school teacher named Mark who coached baseball and was home by 4. Brian saw the Facebook announcement. Didn't comment. Some nights he'd think about that Wednesday morning. Jennifer Morrison walking to her car. 12 minutes late. He'd followed policy. Done everything right. And lost everything anyway. Jennifer lived in Asheville, North Carolina now. Different state, different name, different life. She worked for a nonprofit, affordable housing advocacy. Used her maiden name, Morrison. Emma was 9, adjusted, visited David during summers. Jennifer dated occasionally, nothing serious. She'd learned something in those 12 minutes. That proving yourself to other people was exhausting. That independence wasn't the same as isolation. That sometimes the hardest thing was accepting help. She didn't regret leaving Crestfield. She regretted what it cost to realize she needed to. David still ran Crestfield Logistics. The company changed its HR policies after the Brian situation. More oversight, more training, more accountability. It made the business journals, how one termination changed a company's culture. David gave interviews, talked about fairness and dignity. Never mentioned Jennifer by name. She asked him not to. He respected that. He thought about her sometimes. Wondered if things could have been different. But he knew the answer. The company had always come first. And Jennifer had needed to be first. Those two things couldn't coexist. Brian's termination was still used in management training seminars. The Crestfield case study, when policy isn't enough. His name was redacted, but people in the industry knew. 7 women fired in 18 months. All mothers. All struggling. The lesson was about empathy, about seeing people. About understanding that policy without humanity is just cruelty with paperwork. Brian watched one of these seminars online once. Saw his decisions dissected. His pattern analyzed. His career reduced to a cautionary tale. He closed the laptop. The video that didn't exist, The viral moment that never came would have made Brian the villain, would have made Jennifer the victim, would have made David the hero. But this wasn't that story. This was the story where the consequences came anyway, where justice was served, where the bully was punished, and nobody won. Jennifer lost her chance to prove independence. David lost his marriage trying to save it. Brian lost 19 years of work in 12 minutes of judgment. The company got better policies. The industry got a case study. The world kept turning. And 3 people learned the same lesson from different directions. That being right about the rules doesn't mean you're right about people. That sometimes protecting someone means losing them anyway. That consequences don't care about intentions. Brian still drives past Crestfield sometimes when he visits Dylan. Sees the building, the parking lot, the nameplate that used to be his. He doesn't stop. Jennifer deleted her LinkedIn, changed her phone number, started over clean. Sometimes Emma asks about Daddy's company. Jennifer says, "That's Daddy's thing, not ours." Emma seems okay with that. David expanded Crestfield to 2 new states. Revenue up 23% over 2 years. He has dinner with Emma every Sunday when she visits. Takes her to museums, parks, movies. He's learning to be present. Emma notices. She told Jennifer once, "Daddy's different now." Jennifer smiled. "Good different." "Yeah, he listens more." Jennifer was glad, even if it came too late for them. The story ended the way most real stories end. Not with resolution. Not with redemption. Not with everyone learning and growing and healing. Just with distance. Brian in Columbus. Jennifer in Asheville. David in Crestfield. 3 people in 3 cities carrying the weight of 12 minutes. The minutes when Brian decided policy mattered more than circumstances. The minutes when Jennifer realized she couldn't outrun her marriage. The minutes when David chose his company over everything else. Again, years from now, someone will ask Brian what happened. He'll say corporate politics, not a good fit. Someone will ask Jennifer why she left Ohio. She'll say needed a change, fresh start. Someone will ask David about his divorce. He'll say these things happen, we grew apart. All of them will be telling the truth. All of them will be lying. Because the real story, the one about power and vulnerability and consequences, isn't the kind you tell strangers. It's the kind that sits in your chest. The kind that changes how you see yourself. The kind that doesn't end. It just continues quietly. In 3 different cities. In 3 different lives. In the space where justice was served, but nobody felt whole. Where the villain fell, but the victims didn't rise. Where everything changed and nothing got better. That's where the story lives. Not in the 12 minutes when it happened, but in all the minutes after. The ones that keep coming. The ones you can't take back. If you stayed until the end, you already know this isn't about villains and heroes. It's about people making decisions that cascade. Subscribe if you want more stories that respect that complexity. Real life doesn't do simple endings.